Hey everybody, today I thought we'd talk a little bit about crafts. Now, this is Bulldozer Crafts for Concrete and Cranes. And I want to give you a few tips and tricks and help you out if you are the craft leader for your VBS. And so the first thing I wanted to make sure that you have are the right pieces for planning your craft rotation. And so if your church purchased the starter kit, then you already have some samples of the craft packs, so you can see all six offerings for craft packs. Now, that doesn't mean you have to choose those. All of those craft ideas are included in the craft rotation guide. The craft packs simply have taken a lot of the prep work out for you. We've already cut things out. We've already counted out the number of eyes. We've already done all that kind of work for you to help save on your prep time. So that's an option for you. The other thing I want to show you is if you are the grades 1 through 6 craft leader, this is what you need, your craft rotation guide. Now, again, that's grades 1 through 6, and that's completed grades 1 through 6. If you have kids who are entering first grade, then they will need to do suggestions out of the 3s to kindergarten rotation pack. There's a craft guide in there so that you can plan the age appropriate crafts for the children that you're teaching. And so that's one of the first tips I wanted to give you, is that you should be choosing crafts that are appropriate to the age of the kids. And that's important because kids need to be able to complete a craft with minimal assistance from adults. You don't want to give them an experience that's cookie cutter, or that's going to require them to have to do it a certain way for it all to come out looking the same way. When I walk down the halls of a VBS, I can see pretty quickly which crafts have been chosen to allow the child to complete them and which ones are just the cookie cutters. And the goal for crafts, of course, is for the child to express his or her creativity and to enjoy the process more than to have a perfect finished outcome. The process is more important than the product. So choose crafts that are appropriate to the age of the child, and the child can do it with minimal assistance from you. That's really important. Number 2, make sure that you are choosing crafts that can be completed in the allotted time. Some of you may have 15 minutes for crafts, some may have 20, some may have more than that. So don't think about having to just have one craft that has to fill that entire time. You can choose a couple for that day. And then as children finish early, they can move on to the next one, or they can have choices based on which one looks most appealing to them. So over planning is always helpful when it comes to crafts. Next thing you should be thinking of is choosing crafts that will come in under budget. We've all seen great things that look like they're going to be lots of fun, but the reality is when you're thinking about how many kids are going to have to do this, the cost adds up pretty quickly, doesn't it? So make sure that the crafts you're choosing are able to come in under the budget that your VBS director has given you. And that's okay. You can come up with your own ideas. All of the crafts that are provided in the curriculum have already had a lot of that thought process gone into it ahead of time, so that they're incorporating as much cost savings as possible for you. Next thing is you should choose crafts that kids will value. You don't want them to just do something and then throw it away on the way out the door. You want them to save it and have a memory of VBS that's going to stick with them for a while. You need to make sure that this is a craft that kids want to take home and that they want to share it with mom and dad and with others, remembering the things that they learned during Bible school. That's really important. That's a tough job sometimes as a craft leader, but I know you can do it. Next, you need to choose crafts that will reinforce the Bible study, because here's a secret. VBS is not about making a craft. VBS is about a child having an experience that brings her closer to Jesus Christ, an opportunity to hear the gospel in a fresh and a clear way, and for that child to find out that there's a God who loves her so much that he sent his son to die for her. And so we need to make sure that our crafts have a purpose behind them too. So choose some crafts that will help give you some natural talking points to talk about the Bible story as children work, to reinforce the Bible teaching and the application that's taking place that day, and that will give you an opportunity to get to know that child and build a relationship and share how much God loves him or her. That's really important. And again, if you're using the curriculum as your starting point for planning crafts, all of that's been taken into account. You'll find Bible story specific crafts for every single day of VBS. Then the other thing you should do is to choose some crafts that reflect the theme, because the theme really isn't important, right? I mean, it's not the most important thing, but it still is fun. It still is the piece of the puzzle that brings kids in and gives them something to hang on to. And so you want to have things that feel like they belong in Concrete and Cranes, not somewhere out in left field, not something from another theme, not something that you chose just because you thought it was cute, but something that connects learning to this time and this place and what's going on through the rest of the child's day during VBS. That's really important. And then another tip for you is to make sure that you choose crafts that are fun. You know what? As a craft leader, you're not going to like everything, because each of us is different, right? Each of the kids that you're teaching are going to have their own ideas and their own preferences. And so don't get too bent out of shape about trying to choose something that everybody's going to like, or even that you are going to like, because the kids are going to love the process of creating and having something that they're proud of at the end. So even if it feels like something that you're not so sure about it, I encourage you to give it a try ahead of time and see how the kids in your life respond to it. And then use that in VBS. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, here's some places that you need to look if there are some other craft ideas that you want to view before you choose which crafts you're going to do each day. I've mentioned two of them already. The Craft Rotation Leader Guide has great ideas, multiple ideas every single day for grades 1 through 6. And then the Threes to Kindergarten Rotation Pack that has ideas for threes through kindergartners or preschoolers. And then there's some other places. If you're teaching older kids, you might want to check out the VBX. That's the preteen curriculum for grades 5 through 6. The Bible Study Leader Guide for grades 5 through 6 has a whole section of crafts just for preteens. So if you're looking on for ways that you can kind of amp up your teaching and your crafting just a little bit, borrow that from the 5th and 6th grade teacher and say, I want to check out what kinds of crafts are available for older kids. And if that still is not enough, we have craft ideas in the student materials as well as our adult VBS materials. So you can find those in the student starter pack, or excuse me, the student starter kit and the adult starter kit. So tons of options there for you to choose from. And I know that this VBS here at Bulldozer Crafts is going to be an absolute blast because of all the work and the intentionality that you're going to put behind making sure these crafts are fun, they're engaging, and they also teach, because crafts is an important part of Vacation Bible School. And your role as a teacher, not just a crafter, but as a teacher, is critically important to the mission of your church's VBS, of reaching the lost, of bringing the gospel to light in a way that is clear and that is age appropriate and that is applicable to this time and these activities. So have a blast.